Welcome to part three of my journey with the fear of rejection. I am Ade Anifawisha, your transformational guide. So this is part three, and I'm not even going to recap what happened. You can go there, wherever there is, YouTube, somewhere online. Okay, you find it, or me on IG. Maybe I should give you that link. On IG, I am handle is a being of love. A being of love. ABEING of love. And YouTube, you may be watching that here. You can find it. Right now, it is youtube.com/life coach Ade, life coach ADE. That might change soon. We'll see. So, where I left the conversation was Border Patrol getting on the Greyhound bus while I was on my way to San Francisco from Atlanta, Georgia. So they asked if I was an American citizen. I said, though, in part two, they were asking everybody. People were saying, yes, 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 yes. C, yes, C. And I knew I had to tell the truth. And I wasn't. And I didn't have my green card. So I knew a change gonna come. Up until that point, I've struggled with a sense of belonging, identity, feeling displaced. And I associate that with the fact that I was raised by my mother and a nanny, but I spent most of my formative years, 0 to 4, with someone who wasn't my mother. And if you want to catch that story, you have to go to part one. I struggled with belonging. In Nigeria, I was okay, but I felt like if my parents had left me in UK, I believed then that I would achieved more. It was just something that I always felt like I could do more. My parents were protective. In fact, I used to say they're overprotective. Nigerian parents. The sense of identity, coming back from Nigeria back to UK 1986 with a strong Nigerian accent and people making fun of my accent, and I cringed. I didn't like that. I didn't like the people who were making fun of me. Navigated that. It felt different, yet excited about the possibilities. When I moved to America, that's when I started to feel like I think things are coming together. So, as I said in part two, when Border Patrol got on and they asked me if I'm an American citizen, and I said no, I knew the rest of the truth will unfold. So in my mind, I thought, okay, I'm going back to Atlanta. Damn. I was really looking forward to going to um, San Francisco for a workshop, a session. Oh, I think it was about a week. And there was another reason, which I don't think I'm going to get into in this story that I'm telling. You have to read that in my memoir. They took me off the bus, or asked me to get off the bus, because took sound kind of violent. They just invited me to get off the bus. I was scared. I didn't know. I'm in New Mexico. I don't know anybody here. The whole ride was like a walk of faith, courage, or some people might say a dumb adventure. It took me off the bus. Then they had like this little small station, and there's a little cell that they put people in. I was in there, and I was like, oh my God, this was not part of my plan. So I'm thinking, okay, few hours later, I'll probably send me back to Atlanta, because where else would they send me? Well, they sent me to a detention center. There's more to that that I can say, but I won't go into that because I want to stay and lay the foundation for this fear of rejection. Because even the fear of rejection, as well as the grief and the pain and the trauma of what I'm going to tell you next, made it difficult to tell the story that I'm telling now. At one point, maybe 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. Anyway, I didn't go back to Atlanta. I went to a detention center. I was in the detention center for 40 days and 40 nights. And then after the 40th night, they put me on a plane back to UK as a British citizen. There's so much in between that even as I write, because I am writing my memoir, there are places sometimes, there's some stories that I remember that's just hard and painful and sad. And even as I think about it, it's like, wow, that was a journey. I don't feel sad about that journey anymore. If I go back, I can see the time of what was happening, saying, that was sad. But now I don't feel sad, like in general. I'm like, it's a journey that I walked. So I came back here broken, in grief, traumatized, experienced panic attack for the first time, several times between the time they took me to the detention center. And I didn't even know what it was. So I'm going to make a big jump. So since 2018 to now, 2023, I've had to face and confront that sense of unbelonging, the challenge of my own identity. Am I really an authentic Nigerian? Because at that time, I didn't speak the language fluently, even though I understood it. Now, I used to, but because I didn't have Nigerian friends, my tongue was not used to speaking Yoruba anymore. I understood it. I know what to say, but when I try and say it, my tongue will be like, wait, we haven't done that kind of push-up in a long time. Hold, slow it down. And sometimes I still stumble, but I'm much better than I was. And most Nigerians know this, Yoruba people, you start speaking Yoruba and then you drop a little English in it just to just carry on. Whether you live in Nigeria or you've traveled out of Nigeria, it's just the thing that we do. We just slide English into it. And I had a friend, well, two actually, Michael, would say, why do y'all do that? Don't you have a word for that? Like, yeah, we kind of do, but just what we do. The British say they're the motherland. They're the parents. Anyway, the influence of the British. I digress. So, coming back to UK has been a healing experience. And in 2019, a friend of mine sent an email or a text, I can't remember, and it was a documentary about children, Nigerians who were fostered by white nannies in UK. And I was like, oh, that's my story. Because for me, my experience with the nanny was pretty okay. Even though I look at it now, it's like there might be some things that happened that I don't remember that was traumatic. But when I think about it, it was like, for the most part, it was great. Anyway, I got a call from the producer. He asked me different questions. Like, whoa. And at that time, actually, it may not be 2019. I think it was just before the pandemic. So maybe early 2020. And I started to write my bio back then. Not bio, well, memoir back then. So the questions that he was asking me was really helping me. And which led me to go to my dad and ask some more questions. Fast forward to last year, 2022, I was part of a group of people who were privately fostered by white family. And our stories were different. Some of us, our stories were quite traumatic. Some of us, our stories were, it was okay. Some of us were left there, and then after many years, parents coming back and saying, we're going back, well, going to London, and then they end up in Nigeria not knowing the language or the culture. That helped me in facing the issue, the pain of belonging and identity. It helped me tremendously. So, this is part 3, I think. Part 4, now we're going to talk about my journey with the fear of rejection. Yeah. We'll be back the next day or whenever you watch this. Or you can just roll over and click part 4. It's up to you. It's your world.